at the Rock, Dima Mixon, Glyn Dyar. Lunch was rushed, Glyn.
We can't be late, man. Coach Huff wouldn't. We'd be doing up.
We sat down at Mugshots before the press conference today, and we said, we're going to get a nice lunch. I was 1 minute late to lunch, but we started looking at our clocks, and we said, we got to go. Yeah. I left half a hamburger on my plate at Mugshots.
Didn't get to properly enjoy it or digest it.
Right. All right, Glyn, we just talked to Coach Huff, probably 30-minute interview with him, press conference, a couple of the players. I guess we'll get to that in a minute, but I guess rewatching that Jackson State game, I think, at least for me when I rewatched it, a lot more encouraging than viewing it on Saturday.
Yeah, it was. And props to JSU. That's a high-level HBCU. They were big and physical, probably a little more athletic in the trenches than I thought they'd be. One thing I did, address with Coach Huff was the second half of the MSU game. They started getting the ball on the perimeter in the run game. JSU saw that in film, and they came right out of the gate and started getting it, and until they correct that, little helicopter noise.
Yeah.
Until they correct that, every team's going to try to get, run the wide zone and get the perimeter on us until we're able to either shut that down on the end or spill it correctly with our safeties and linebackers. So,
I think that was something that was interesting that he said. He said, all Jackson State did was watch what Mississippi State did. And then in my head, I'm kind of thinking, well, why didn't they fix that going into Jackson State week? And then he said, well, we don't have a memo. I didn't ask him that, but he said later, we don't have a memo on what teams are going to do each week. It's like, yeah, but I mean, if you watch Mississippi State, what was wrong. You'd think you would do something to fix that Jackson State week.
Yeah, and it's something that has to be fixed. And it's a multi-level thing. It could be what kind of technique your DN's playing. Is he crashing inside and giving up that edge? Is your linebacker not be able to scrape? Is he getting caught in the trash? Is your safety? He brought up the safety, maybe not triggering down as quickly and as efficiently and running that alley as he needs to. It's a multi-layer thing that, until they corrected it, people are going to keep running it at him. And App State's got a really good running game and probably the top, to this point, top running back in the Sun Belt right now.
Yeah,
he's actually number 2.
He's number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. And, of course, App State hasn't played tremendous competition, Charlotte, Lindenwood. But in both of those games, Glenn, they had over 550 yards of offense. So this is going to be an offensive team. App State, let's get to that really quickly. App State, first thoughts on them?
Yeah, different animal. First 2 teams, big and physical up front, 320 pounds across. They're going to try to run the football. These guys throw at an average of 40 times a game, and their transfer from LSU, A.J. Swan, has legit arm talent. And like you said, they hadn't played legit competition at this point. I think Southern Miss is far more battle-tested. But, to that, they've run up huge numbers, and their quarterback hadn't been touched yet. He's been sacked 2 times in 2 games and rarely hit. Southern's going to have to affect him, not necessarily sack him, but get some hits on him, make him uncomfortable, make him, move his platform and move around in the pocket a little bit. Nobody's done that to him yet.
Yeah, and something I was talking about this morning, not talking about, but reading, was I think this is probably the best offense Southern Miss has played so far, and that's saying something. Of course, State is going to have the speed and agility and line that App State doesn't have. But as far as slinging the ball, downfield shots, I don't even really think they throw it downfield that much. I think they just give it to their guys in space, and they make plays. So tackling is going to be key for Southern Miss against Appalachian State. Knowing what's going on the field as far as the safeties and the nickels, that's going to be key. Defensive line has to get some kind of pressure, but I think the quarterback gets the ball out so quick it's hard to. That's kind of what Huff was saying in the presser just a few minutes ago. We'll see as far as the defense goes what that battles up. We actually got to talk to safety for Southern Miss just a few minutes ago, and I was talking to him. I'm losing Corey Myrick. Sorry, Corey Myrick, and I was asking him, what kind of goes from a run-heavy Jackson State team, run-heavy Mississippi State team, now a pass-heavy App State team. Is that a different, is that a different preparation? He said, no, it's not a different preparation because every week we just have to recognize each play. And I think that's telling because that's something that Coach Huff said in the press conference, that we're not going to worry about having a great first half. We're not going to worry about having a great second half. We just got to play. We got to worry about having a good play. And then we get to the next play. And Glenn, there's 100 plays in a game. You got to have everyone right to win a game like that.
Yeah, and Corey, he alluded to the fact that, I told him expect 35 to 40 passes, and I said, you got to be, as DBs, you got to be excited for that challenge. And his eyes lit up. He knows this is a little more of a different animal this week. He's not going to be able so much triggering down and, stuff in the box in that run game. They're going to get tested over the top too. And something Coach Huff said, Coach Loggins over there at App, head coach and a great play caller, has NFL experience. he'll give you the same look over and over again and run completely different plays out of it. So as somebody, a defensive player reading his keys, it can get tricked. It can be confusing. They're going to have to be on their P's and Q's.
No doubt. The defense versus App State's offense, to me, is the story of the game. I think Southern Miss's offense is actually going to be able to move the ball. I don't think App State's defense is as good as the last two defenses. They were probably better than Jackson State's, but they're not as good as Mississippi State's defense, of course, especially not the corners. But we will be there. Glyn Dyar will be there. I will be there on Saturday for Southern Miss and App State. I hope you're there. Coach Huff said if you can't be there, bring your pets. He said there's going to be a pet section, so you can find that video on Twitter because I'm definitely posting it. But Glyn will be there. I'll be there for post-game coverage on the field after the game. You can read all Glyn stuff at
goldeneaglepride.com. Come see us.
I'm at hubcityspokes.com. You can also look for another video coming later in the week about our score predictions, kind of what we see going in the game, but we'll see you at the Rock on Saturday night. Southern Miss, App State, 6 p.m.